Welcome to the Phantom Zone.
Hello. In this week's episode, first is Legacy. This is the last episode with Christopher Reeve, and we see Jor-El is sending Jonathan messages through the key, and Lionel makes a deal with Dr. Swan. Then, in truth, Chloe becomes a walking lie detector and gets more than she bargained for. This is the Smallville Chronicles. Hello and welcome back. I'm Lou Gonzalez. With me, as always, is Alan Muir.
Man, the ending to Legacy doesn't make a lot of sense when you think about it.
Yeah, there's like a lot of weirdness. With this,
the way a character gets a certain thing doesn't make sense.
It just like teleports to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe they would have explained more if like he was able to film more in the future before passing away. Because they basically kind of write around it. Like, oh, you got this package from... Because it's like way later that they get the package with it back. And then when What's-Her-Name shows up, she's only there for an episode.
Yeah, I think it's season 4 to get it back.
Yeah, but like I think it's like the middle. It's like randomly like in the middle or something like that.
Yeah, because the episode where... The Freaky Friday episode... They have a side character who ends up being recruited by Kidder.
Yes.
Who ironically was on Community as Look Up Fake Moby.
Yeah, he's been in a ton of stuff. But we will get to him when we get to that episode, which is actually not as far as that you would think it is. So this first episode is interesting because I think a lot of this is setting up the demise of Jonathan. So we have him on a roof trying to set up a weather vane, and then he hears the same ringing that we usually associate with Clark, which you actually do get an explanation for like way down the line.
Yeah, and prior to him getting the whole thing happening, Martha is just freaking out the entire time, like, be careful, you son of a bitch. I mean, she doesn't actually say that. Yeah, and he just says, my father and I built this roof. I know what I'm doing. And he hears the noise, starts wobbling, and starts sliding or falling off or rolling off. Clark comes in with a nice grab or a nice save and has to do a roll because the thing is almost impales Jonathan.
Yeah, the weather vane, like, because it's huge. It's like a 6-foot tall weather vane.
Yeah.
But like the big part of this is after like Clark saves him, Jonathan is like he explains that he heard a ringing, and Clark is like, I think it's probably what I heard. Like I have heard, I did not hear it. I think this is Jor-El. And Jonathan like gets up and like all huffing is like, you know what? Don't, get away from me. I don't need your help, Kal-El, and like walks away. And then Clark and Martha are just like, what?
Yeah.
And but it's an interesting scene, like, and again showing the kind of building up to this culmination of Jonathan. So from here, we pop over to basically where we left off in the last episode.
Yeah, literally right as he's about to pull the trigger, he gets a phone call. And it's like, oh, people.
Yep.
I guess I won't kill myself for them.
Yeah, and so he takes a helicopter to Smallville. We cut to Clark in the caves, basically yelling at a wall. When the wall's about, like, yelling at Jor-El, but he's just, like, staring at a wall.
And then
with the key in his hand.
And then it levitates out of his hand. A bunch of lights or a bunch of beams start coming out of it, and then we hear Lionel, and Clark's like, "Oh shit!" Grabs it, puts it, and is holding onto it in his pocket. And Lionel is trying to.
He's kind of like talking to him about the wall, and then he's just like, "Wait, the indentation where the key was is back because it had been gone." And he's like, "Wait, this is like different, like." And he's kind of like starts freaking out, and he basically is like, "What'd you do, Clark?" Clark's like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." Just kind of like,
yeah. He mentions that it's his cover is for it is he goes there when he wants to be alone, and then he just leaves, and we get the do we get a visual of like a CG thing of like the FBI listening in?
When he goes to talk to Lex, I think they like show, if I remember correctly, it's like that weird thing that they do in TV shows sometime where like we like zoom through Lex's shirt and see the wire and then travel with that to the van. Because, yeah, and Lionel's just freaking out. And then we pop over to Clark talking to Jonathan about the key.
Yeah, and he's like, Jor-El's not my dad, you're my dad. And he's like, no, Jor-El is your real father.
Yeah, and basically says, like, yeah, after I almost died, I've been kind of reevaluating my choices. And Clark is just, like, super confused. And also, like really hurt that he said, like, he's your real father. And then Clark takes the key away from Jonathan and locks it away. And then we pop over to the Talon, and Clark's like, tells Lana, like, my dad's acting weird. And then she basically goes, like, sometimes people get depressed about a health crisis because she had just gone through, like, her thing with a broken leg.
And the whole Adam bit.
Yeah, which is actually true. Like, there is, like, connections to, like, especially with, like, heart issues, that it, like, really affects, like, certain hormones, and it can cause depression. So they're, like, pulling from some, like, real-life stuff here. Now we pop back over to, like, this is a plot, like, I get where it is going to take us, but it's so tedious.
Oh,
it's
the
like,
FBI stuff?
Yeah, it takes over the Adam tediousness and into basically a similar tedious story.
Which will then lead to the goddammit of Jason Teague.
Exactly. So Lex is talking to Agent Loader and tells him to not worry about the comments about the Kents, saying that he only agreed to bring Lionel down and not to interfere with the Kents. And Loader's basically like, well, there's got to be something up with them because Lionel's interested in them and you're just, like, protecting them. And he's just like, Clark is just some ordinary kid.
Yeah, and he also mentions that he had a thing for unlocking the mysteries of who is Clark Kent in the previous episode when they were searching his dimension.
Yep. So now we pop over to a very awesome scene.
Yeah, good, a really great scene between John Glover and Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, you're watching, like, two, like, really big, like, great actors get to just, like, bounce off of each other. Especially, this is probably Reeve's last thing he ever did, like, on camera.
Yeah.
So Lionel goes to visit Dr. Swan and asks him about the language on the caves. And he's like, I will give you over a conservatory of the caves if you tell me everything that he wants to know. Swan, he's like, I don't know the language. And Lionel says,
yeah, he mentions the keyhole, and Dr. Swan and Chris Reeve says a great line. Or just a funny one-off line. Well, you don't need me, you need a locksmith.
Mm-hmm. And he delivers it so great. And
I forgot what the exact line it was that he says. That he finds something, or that he's a scientist. He
says, I'm a scientist. I find curiosity to be a most admirable trait. Yeah. Because Jonathan's like, Lionel's like, oh, like, I'm just interested in it. And he's just like, no, if you're, like, willing to trade over the conservatory of the caves, like, it's much more than that. And basically is like, you're dying, aren't you? And then that's when, Lionel admits that he is dying and that whatever in the caves can save his life. And then Swan agrees. And then this is back when, so Clark goes back to the caves. And then there's, like, a whole new set of, this is where we get all the weird scaffolding and the scanning equipment. And there's, like, that clear board.
Lionel's like, sorry I had to disturb your sanctuary, Clark. And then we cut to FBI agents storming the farm. Or alleged FBI agents.
Yes. And so...
That's the key word here, alleged.
Yes. And Martha and Clark are freaking out. So... Or no, Martha's freaking out, like, because Clark and Jonathan aren't there.
Prior to this, and around the same time,
Jonathan, like, stormed off.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the only person that's there is Martha.
And they're breaking shit. They don't give a shit.
Oh, they're just throwing crap on the floor. They're destroying the house and the barn. So yeah, then we cut to the Talon. Clark is leaving his mom a message. He tells Lana that his father took off in the middle of, like, his errands, which he's never done. And Lana's, like, super sympathetic, and then Clark leans in and kisses her. And he's basically like, after the conversation with his dad, he's like, I don't want to look back on life regretting, like, lost opportunities. And Lana's like, this isn't the time for them to try to get back together. He needs to focus on, like, his family.
Yeah, and this sort of comes back around for Lana.
Yeah, this ties into the whole what becomes, like, the Teague storyline. So basically Clark, because he's embarrassed by, like, Lana kind of turning him down, he leaves to go find Jonathan, and Jonathan is at his parents' grave. Which is interesting because we haven't had Clark showing up to somebody looking at their dead parents in a while.
Yeah. It's been, season 1 or 2 since we had that with Lana?
Yeah, I think she goes back to like one other time before, and like that's like it. I think they kind of dropped that idea. But basically, they're talking, and Jonathan's like talking about his dad and how he like feels guilty.
Yeah, he mentioned. Is it this scene where he mentions that him and Hiram were said to be two sides of the same coin?
And yes, that his mom always said that.
Yeah,
and she was like the great negotiator because they were both like crazy stubborn.
And he postulates that it's possible that the same is similar thing with Clark and Jor-El.
Mm-hmm. And this also starts tying into like him worrying about Clark's future and the farm. A lot of that kind of comes up here about not wanting to do, because I believe this is where he kind of starts the idea of like he didn't want to stay on the farm, but like his dad got sick, and so that is why he had to stay and take it over. It was never anything he actually wanted to do.
Yeah.
Which will lead into stuff like towards the end of the season. So then we pop over to Lana at the mansion, going over the bills at the town with Lex. He notices that she's upset and is like, you can tell me anything. And she's like, yeah, well, Clark kissed me. And she wants to, she's like, I wish things could change, but I'm not really sure. And then this is Lex basically goes like, you should, take a look.
Compare everything and not just what just happened.
Yes. Which is also, this is tying into like kind of the inklings. I know we've been saying it for a while, but like this is the little sprinkles of Lex's into Lana. I think we get a lot more of it at the end of the season, but like this is definitely him no longer trying to play matchmaker between the two of them.
Yeah, it's like, okay, he's not going to do anything. I'm going to swoop in.
Yep.
Fuck that guy.
So a girl that is 6 years younger than him, that is a junior. No, they're juniors in high school. Yeah,
where's, what's his name?
So she should be 16-ish. 16, 17. So, where was who?
The To Catch a Predator guy.
Oh, I don't remember his name. Well, from here, Clark and Jonathan basically come to the farm, see it's in shambles, and Martha's like, the only thing that's missing is the key, and Clark's like starts freaking out, and then Jonathan's like, this key?
He's like, he does it very badass. Like very, very sort of edgy, like edgelord stuff.
Yeah, because he's wearing the tan jacket, and he just is like, boop, you mean this key? It's very dramatic for no real reason.
Yeah.
So Clark goes to Lex and is because he knows about the FBI stuff and is like, what the hell with the raid? And Lex says like, I didn't have anything to do with it, but like, I'll look into it. And Lex goes right to Loader, who's like, the FBI is not interested in the Kents. Like, whoever that was, it wasn't us. And Clark overhears that.
Well, it says Loader's like, what the hell are you trying to do? Explode?
This is when he learns about everything.
Yeah, Clark he's like, are you trying to blow? Are you purposely trying to blow our cover?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like basically, Lex leaves and Clark like runs right up to him, like, and it's like, what the hell is going on? Like, why are you investigating my family? And Lex is like, no, I'm not investigating your family. It's like, I'm working with the FBI. So like,
yeah, because he's like, Lionel pinned the Metron murders on him, and he cut a deal.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm trying to put my dad away, and I'm trying to do everything I can to keep you out of it. And then he's just like, and I'm guessing the people that went to your farm are not there since they weren't the FBI. It was probably my dad's people.
Yeah, and then we get the end of the scene, which is Lex telling Clark that Lionel visited Dr. Swan. And we also get, earlier in the episode, we get something that Loader mentions. What's just like when his own curiosity with Clark, like and it's not him, it's the other agent. If he's nothing, then why is he buddy with Virgil Swan?
Well, I think don't they say something like if he's a nobody, why are two of the like two billionaires like so interested in this one teenage boy?
Yeah, and Lex is taken off guard.
Mm-hmm. So just like he does, Clark super speeds to Dr. Swan's office, and basically he's like, I did not betray.
He says, he yells, "You betrayed me!" And then he's like really mad because he thinks that Virgil Swan is working with Lionel, and he mentions Clark inadvertently killing that guy, him going crazy or running rampant in Metropolis, and he says he opened the door to Clark's legacy because he thought he was ready, or he hoped that he was ready to embrace it, or his origins. And I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure if it's a scene, but because I tend to watch the same clip over and over again. He calls him Kal-El again, and Clark says, "Don't call me that," or "Never call me that." And Christopher Reeve says, "Fathers often want destinies their sons don't want." I'm paraphrasing that, but it's a really good line.
Yes, because they do like it says, Swan goes, "Fathers often want futures their sons reject. The struggle is as old as the human race." And then Clark's like, "Except I'm not human." And he says, "Humanity is not about biology."
Yeah.
Which shows like that is like the whole crux of, the Superman Clark Kent issue.
And listeners, if there's a reason why all this stuff is written well, Jeff Loeb wrote this.
Yes, this is one of like I think he wrote like 4 episodes. Yeah,
Jeff Loeb, who wrote Superman for All Seasons with Tim Sale, or no, either Tim Sale or McGinnis. And he's the current head of Marvel TV. So.
Yeah, and he has one more. This is the 3rd episode that he wrote. And then he wrote a decent one that is next season. That's the last one, which is the return of Alicia. So... So before we leave this scene, Dr. Swan is like, yeah, you weren't ready, but there has been a message and it says, "I am waiting." And he's like, "It's not coming from space, and I don't think it's for you. It's coming from Jor-El." So back at the farm, we see Jonathan sees the key glowing and he takes it out of the toolbox and leaves. Clark comes home and sees his dad is missing, tells his mom.
Oh, yeah, this is the best part of the episode coming up.
Yeah, he thinks Jor-El is trying to contact Jonathan. And then
he goes to the cave with a shotgun.
Yeah.
No, it's a
yeah, it's in here. It says Remington 870 police Magnum riot shotgun, which I don't know where he got this.
And it doesn't. It looks like just Hiram's gun from that they've had for.
I guess I always thought that was a rifle.
Yeah, that's what.
I'm guessing maybe he took out a security guard and took it from him. It really doesn't make a difference because it doesn't really play out much. But he has it. He sees Lionel studying the wall markings. And Jonathan's like, "Everybody out of the cave." Everyone quickly leaves except for Lionel. And Jonathan's like...
And they fight.
Yeah.
And then the key starts glowing. And Lionel's like, "Ah!" and tries to get it. It somehow gets out of Jonathan's coat.
Yeah. It starts to float almost immediately when they start moving around.
Yeah. And they're trying they're both on the ground, and Lionel's trying to get it, and Jonathan sort of tries to choke him out, puts him in a headlock, sort of, and it ultimately just collides with the wall, and we see what looks like the key inside the wall.
Yeah, it returns to kind of the state it was at in the beginning of the episode, where the groove is gone, the octagonal groove is gone, and so Lionel thinks it's in the cave. And Jonathan thinks Clark has it, and Clark shows up just before Jonathan kills Lionel. But then, afterwards, Clark's like, "Yeah, I don't have it," which Jonathan kind of doesn't believe is true. He thinks he's trying to hide it from him to protect him. So then we pop over to, I believe, the barn, and Lana shows up, and is basically, it goes Clark's like, "If we want to be together, we should be together," and Lana's like, "After all the stuff that's just happened, I don't want to miss out on everything on life, just dealing with this, and going on this back and forth." And basically just she's basically I need to figure some stuff out about myself, and just leaves Clark in the barn. So we pop from there to basically the kind of closing of the episode where Jonathan asks him about it, and it's basically why he went to the caves. And Jonathan's like, I was drawn there. And Clark asks him what Jor-El is waiting for and what their deal was. And Jonathan's like, "No, I don't want to tell you." And Clark's worried that Lionel will get the key out of the wall. And Jonathan says, "Yeah, it's not there." And then this is the final reveal, which is what you were talking about before, which is Dr. Swan has the key.
Yeah, and he's basically worshiping it, sort of.
Yeah, he has it in a little chest, and he's just ooh. It's all glowing, reminding me of the Ark of the Covenant, kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah, how it got to him they don't explain it all, because his office is supposed to be in Manhattan, right?
Yeah.
So it's just appears there. So, and that's the end of this episode. It's a pretty good episode. For 3 scenes, it's a great episode. The Jonathan Lionel, the Lionel Swan scene, And then I actually really like the Clark Jonathan scene, like towards the end when they're kind of like, or I mean, when they're at the graveyard. So like, I would definitely give this like an A- for an episode.
Yeah, there's a similar type of scene in the series finale where Clark is at Jonathan's grave, and Force Ghost Jonathan is there, but Clark can't see him or hear him because he's a Force Ghost. And just a piece of trivia and a piece of continuity that that sort of retconned later on in the series. This was Christopher Reeve's final role before his death, and a key sort of like Illuminati type group or cult group are based around the Traveler, i.e. Clark, called Veritas. Two of Virgil, the Swans, and Lionel were part of it, and the Teagues, the Queens, and it gets brought back all the way back in the series finale with Lex. So,
yeah, well, it's like the number one thing the show was great at was like callbacks to like stuff that they had set up way early on. But yeah, did you have anything else on this, or did you want to jump to the next one?
Okay, I got some quotes that I just want to repeat because I really like them. Here, quote from Jonathan: "Your grandfather was the stubbornest man I ever knew, and believe me, Clark, I wasn't nearly the son you were, or the son you are. My mother used to say he and I were like watching two sides of the same coin during duking it out, and I see the way you and Jor-El, and I wonder if maybe fathers and sons were the same on Krypton." And then the scene with Swan and Clark: "I didn't betray you, Kal-El. I promised you your secret would never leave this building, and it hasn't. My involvement with Lionel Luthor is in your best interest. Clark, that man has done nothing but cause my family pain." And Dr. Swan with the rebuttal: "Well, was he the one who caused the explosion on the farm? Did he make you run wild in Metropolis? I opened the door to your heritage because I thought you were ready. Your actions over the past year have proven me wrong." So, I mean, this is one. I mean, not just because it has Christopher Reeve in the episode, it's great, but this is one of the best written episodes of Smallville in the entire 10-year run.
Oh yeah, the dialogue is amazing in it.
So,
yeah. All right, so we can pop over to the second one, which is, for the most part, kind of the exact opposite in many ways.
Yeah.
So we start the episode off with Chloe breaking into the Luthor Corp plant, which gets done really easily. And basically, she ends up getting by all sorts of goofiness. She gets like a tag from like her dad's friend, and that's how she breaks in. And then she's like, "Oh, is somebody sabotage?" When she talks to the guys, like, "Oh, is somebody sabotaging him?" And it's like, "Yeah, he's been blackballed." And
yeah, and
oh yeah, he says "Don't worry, like your dad's better off not being involved."
Yeah, because Lex is starting projects that are really not that. There's not much humanity in them.
Yes, which plays into like a bunch of stuff going on. But yeah, she breaks in.
Well, she
swipes his badge.
Yeah, it's just sitting in this car, and she hits a button, and alarm goes off. Boom, gets blasted by a green mist.
Yep.
And at first I thought it was the Japanese buzzsaw Tajiri. I mean, he blinded Nydia. Sorry, that was a 2004 WWE reference.
Oh man.
Which, I mean, this episode came out like
same time.
No, this is months after the storyline.
Oh, okay. So basically, she passes out for a second, gets up, and then eludes all security and escapes. The next day, Clark sees Chloe, and she's like all preoccupied, and she's like, "Yeah, like I just had some stuff to finish off my, you need to go finish off your Teacher of the Year thing with Miss Taylor." And he's like, "Oh, I keep calling her, she doesn't call me back." And basically, she's like, "You need to get more aggressive." And then Miss Taylor walks through the halls, and Chloe's like, "Go, give it a shot." And he's just like, she basically is like blows him off. And Chloe asks if she has 10 minutes before her literature class, and basically we see like the mist kind of come out of her mouth, like in a like invisible special effectsy way.
Yeah, and Mrs. Taylor admits that she was watching TV instead of preparing for the class, so she has to make a pop quiz. And Chloe and Clark especially are shocked, sort of like the Aesop Ribic Secret Wars like shock face at how honest she was about it.
Yep. And then Chloe's kind of like giggly about it. She's like, "Oh, that's sort of interesting."
And then we get the another truth serum. Even though judging by the film Ant-Man and the Wasp, there's no such thing as truth serum.
No, there's sodium. I can't remember what it's called. Sodium pentothal, and basically it's just like a narcotic that makes you like susceptible to suggestion, which is what they call truth serum. But like it's not very reliable. But yeah, we get like the awesome scene. So they're in the torch. Pete's there, and he's like, "Oh, what's up, guys?"
Clark's going to run to the stadium. You got hot dogs while they watch the Sharks game, and the round trip will only take 10 minutes to go supersonic. And Clark's like, "What, dude? Clark's what the fuck?
What the shit?" Yeah, it's such a great face. It's like, and then Chloe's like, "Wait, what?" Pete's just like, "Yeah, I was kidding." And just kind of like Clark's like, "Get the hell out of here." And Pete's in the whole question, what the hell? It's like, dude, I don't know why that came out of my mouth. It's like, I thought it, but I was not trying to say it, and it just came out. And Clark's like, what the fuck, dude? And I basically it's
like the whole you had one job.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like you had one job to not talk about my superpowers, and especially to Chloe.
Yeah, because unlike anyone else, unlike the episode with Dr. Scientist or Dr. Glasses Scientist.
Oh yeah, Dr. Glasses Scientist. Yeah.
When Clark was trying to in the episode with the adrenaline bugs or the adrenaline golds, when Clark was trying to get Pete to come with him to get so he could get better, he's like, he's an alien, and the way Pete was acting is like nobody would believe him. He looks like he's stoned off his gourd.
yeah. It's just I don't know. I love the like Clark's look on his face when Pete says that. I'm just like,
God damn it.
Actually, everybody does a pretty good job of like, I don't know why I just said that. Why did I just say that? Pretend like you didn't hear that. So we pop over from here to the Luthor plant, and Lionel's there, or the Luthor Plaza, not the plant. And Lionel's there, and it's like, oh, what happened with the release of a chemical agent? And Lex is like, it's not your concern, and like basically leaves. And then in the car, it's just him wearing the wire, and he like rips it off. So we go back to Clark's house. And Chloe's basically like, seriously, you need to do that Teacher of the Year interview. And then Martha arrives, and Clark leaves to get the rest of the groceries. And then Chloe politely asks, how's Jonathan doing?
And she's like, oh, it's...
She basically says like, oh, he's really upset and all this stuff. And it's not like it used to. I'm going to try to find... It's just like really deep personal stuff about like how their relationship is really weird. Does she get into like sexual stuff kind of?
I'm not sure, but I like the part where it's like...
Yeah.
Where she mentions, like, that Clark feels responsible because it's Clark's biological father's fault.
Yeah, and she's like, wait, what? And Clark enters the kitchen and is like...
God motherfucking damn it.
And Chloe asks Clark, like, why would he think it was his biological father? And then he's just like, well, you know, like, I left for Metropolis because, like, I was looking for him and stuff. And, like, I found some stuff and it, like, really did a number.
Or also about it, how his real parents didn't like he wasn't wanted by his real parents.
Yeah,
and he tries to hurt her toward the door to get her out of there.
Yeah, and then like after she leaves, Martha's like, I can't believe I told him that, and he's like, all right, something's definitely like fucking up here between like Pete and this. So he's like, all right, something's going on. So we go to the talent, and Lana is reading.
Oh god damn it!
The beginning of
a season long
terrible storyline. So she's reading a brochure for the parents' art school, and Clark asks Lana if she's noticed anything unusual about Chloe, and Lana's like, well, one of her dad's old co-workers called and asked for a security card back. Clark doesn't think Chloe would steal, but he starts to wonder if she broke into the lab. Next, we see Chloe. I think this is the next morning at school.
This is the part that really starts some shit.
Yeah. So Chloe sees Miss Taylor, and she's coming to school with her son, and she's like, all right, let me get the interview, and she's like, and she's basically
like, bank.
Yeah, she's basically like, so what can you tell me about yourself? He's like, oh, I really like teaching. The only downside is I have to hide my past. Where like I was part of some eco-terrorist group where we built a bomb and somebody blew up.
In over 30 years ago.
Yeah, she's been guilt-ridden about it. And the son is just like, what? And basically yells at Chloe to stay away from him and his mom. And Chloe's just like, I can't believe what I just got.
And being the reporter and future criminal that she is.
Well, she's already broken and entered like a million times.
I'm talking about real life. She puts the story on the cover of the Torch, and everyone is pissed at Chloe.
Yeah, because the teacher gets arrested by the FBI. So, and basically she's like, Clark is like, do you seriously have like no discretion? And like the police gonna handle it? And she's like, yeah, ever since like people like can't help but tell me their private thoughts. And she's like, this is like every reporter's dream. And then demonstrates to Clark the students in the hall. Like, look, this, I think.
It works
Is
in
this
everyone
where
but
she
Clark.
is this where she asked the football player like who he wants to go to prom with?
And it's like another guy.
Yeah, it's his teammate, and they're just like, "What?" And then she asked like a cheerleader or like something, and she's like, "Oh, they're just so dumb." And they're just like all like, and then she asked Clark something like, "What's his secret?" And then
it was like
he doesn't answer.
Nothing.
So Clark goes to the Luthor Corp plant to investigate, and he finds a folder labeled Levitas. But he's interrupted by Lex, and he's just like, are you looking for stuff because you know who broke in here? And Clark's like, no, I don't know. Like, I just have a friend who's in trouble and wondering what they're working on. And Lex was like, he was trying to salvage one of Lionel's projects, but the program had some like bad side effects. And he says Clark needs to tell him who his friend is so that they can be treated.
And Clark's like, I don't feel that. I don't feel that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, he like doesn't trust Lex with this. Which is like this is the beginning of like them kind of breaking them up, or like they've been kind of like separating. So Chloe is approached by Will at the Talon and is basically like, "You ruined my life, my mother's life. Like the FBI came and arrested her."
And then there's a mass exodus of everyone in the Talon.
Yeah,
and Lana has to break the hard truth that no one likes being around her because
like they can't like. There's some things like
there's no privacy.
Yeah.
Everything she says or she asks is an invasion of privacy.
Yeah. Which she immediately does with Lana and is like, oh, what do you mean? And then she's like, I applied to this school in Paris because I don't think
because I don't fit in.
And Chloe's like, wait, what? You want to leave? And she's like, you see, now leave. Like, get out of my face.
Yeah.
And so Chloe goes to the Luthor mansion.
Yeah, and Lex, I love that Lex isn't like, he's like, oh no. Or he's like, no, you don't have to. We don't have to fix you right now. I could use you.
He's like, you want to help me take down my dad?
You could just sit on a log.
Yeah, and he's like, also like, you can have him like figure out like what happened to my memories and stuff like that. And Chloe says like those memories are a threat to him and that he should just leave it alone. And she says Lex is the reason her father can't get a job, but Lex tells her that Lionel's responsible. And Chloe's like is like and gets like a really bad headache. And she asks why Lex is continuing this like game.
This big chess match with Lionel, and the only thing all he's ever wanted from Lionel is love.
Yeah, because he has to answer. Which this is the only person who gets any sort of positive out of all of this. Because it's like it forces him to have a realization. So he's like surprised by it, but like kind of like it's like, oh, now that I've said it out loud, like yeah, that's it. So Clark has Chloe meet him at the medical center, claiming he has a big story. But instead Pete shows up and Clark tells Pete that he made it up to get Chloe to the hospital because she was exposed by something, and Pete realizes that he needs to leave before she exposes Clark's secret. But Chloe is in the elevator when the doors open, and she's just like, Pete, like,
what's the secret? And Pete kisses Chloe. He's like, he's always been in love with her. But
he's been teasing from like season 1, because what was it, the Nicodemus flower thing?
Yeah, and he after he says he's in love with her, he runs away extremely embarrassed. Very embarrassed.
Yes. And basically he's like yelling like, you need to go get help. And she looks like she's like doesn't know what to do. But then she
has sort of like a mini stroke.
Yeah, she like she's not collapsed, but she's like kind of like drops to the ground because she has like a crazy migraine. And then Clark brings her to like an exam room to get checked out. We cut to Clark and Pete meeting at the Torch. Where they kind of talk about Chloe, like his feelings, and Pete's just like, yeah, but she never was interested. So like, I kind of,
Was this episode where he says,
I think he says like, I can never compete with you, Clark.
Yeah, because I'm thinking of the bad episode we watched, the bad Pete centric episode we watched, where it's like you're being in your shadow is like being on the dark side of the moon.
Yeah, that's the car one. Yeah, but he does kind of say similar stuff. He also says that Miss Taylor's been arrested. And Clark sees that Chloe was writing a story on the Levitas project, and that she was looking for a military general named Jonah Doyle. So from there, Chloe's kind of recovered. Lionel Luthor enters the room, and basically she's like, "Did you blacklist my father?" And he's like, "Yeah, blacklisted your father." And he's like, "Oh,
because you got balls."
Yeah, and then she's like, "Did you kill your parents?" And he's like, "No, I didn't kill my parents. I told Morgan Edge."
Morgan Edge did it.
Yeah, so that we could get the insurance.
The insurance to to become an entrepreneur.
Yep. And then she reveals that she basically called herself so that she left herself a voicemail so that she can blackmail Lionel into having her dad come back. And Lionel's basically like, "Oh, you should not have asked me that question."
Yeah, it's like,
I'm going.
oh.
And he's like, yeah, and he's just like, basically like, if you don't want to die, you're going to go ask Jonathan and Martha Kent about Clark's origins.
Yeah.
So Clark finds the Colonel guy. He's basically a homeless dude, but living like pretty decently. He's got a refrigerator and electricity. And basically is like, yeah, we're working on this inhalant. That would be the ultimate interrogator. So like, the only problem was the people's like, their like heads would explode or whatever. And then they were testing a cure, but like they never thought there was a need. And then he's like, but we had one prototype.
Yeah, and I will give it to you for free.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, and you got to do it directly in the heart, Pulp Fiction style. Clark's just like, ugh.
Tequila.
So we pop back to the hospital where he has the antidote, but Chloe's not there. Lionel is, and he's just basically like, Clark's like, what about this project, blah, blah, blah. And Lionel's like, I
don't care about Miss Sullivan.
Yeah, and then he's basically is like, Clark calls Chloe, and she's on her cell phone, picks it up, and is like, yeah, and then I'm headed to the farm to ask your parents so I can finally find out the truth.
And we get some more car damage.
Yep, she crashes her car because she passes out.
Well, no, she crashes it because Will is trying to run her off the road.
Oh, yeah, that's it. She's like kind of passing out, yeah. And then the kid from earlier runs her off the road. She crashes into the side, and he's trying to push her over the side. So Clark hears the commotion on the phone. He speeds there. He takes out Will, like knocks him out. And then he pulls the car up back on the edge, and then pulls her out of the car and then jabs her in the chest with the needle. And then we get Lex is summoned back to Lionel's office, and Lionel wants to know why Lex resurrected the project. And he wants to know what Lex wants from him. And then this is when Lex is like, it doesn't really matter because I know I will never get it.
Which is a little bittersweet.
Yes. But he actually learned something from this episode. So Chloe wakes up in the loft and is like, thank you for saving me. I feel guilty about what I did. And basically, like, I was on my way here to ask your parents about the truth. And Clark is like, wait, what? And
then he calms down saying she wasn't herself. And Chloe is very remorseful and regretful about her actions. And says that maybe the serum brought out her real personality. Sort of like the way Kryptonite does with Clark. And in season 10, Connor Kent, or at the time Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
And she's afraid that one day she'll use up all of the chances, or she's worried that one day she's gonna burn every bridge.
Yeah, that she'll cross the line that she can't come back from. And Clark basically says, "Well, that's not today," and gives her a hug. And then we get another setup to the stuff for next season, which Clark meets Lana, and basically she's like, yeah, I want to go to the school in Paris because I need a fresh start.
And then we got the best scene.
Yep, Chloe's like, I still got that voicemail because I got Lionel. And then she opens it and listens to it, and it's not the voice. It's not that. Instead, it's Lionel being like,
yeah, I erased it.
Yeah, I erased it. You think you're smart. I'm smarter. Stop. Like, I've given you enough chances. Back the hell off, or I will end it. So that's the episode. It's okay. Like, it's annoying because we have all the setup for like one of the worst storylines in the entire series. But like the Lionel stuff is interesting to kind of show like the lengths he'll go. And it does like kind of give us a look at like Lionel's desperation and like as well as like his power, but also like Chloe and like kind of her until she finally does learn the truth. Like it's this kind of her rabid nature towards like finding out what's going on. It's actually like kind of is really shitty because like you can look at the whole thing as like she's trying to out him like this entire time and investigating it, and she's just like mad that he won't tell her. And then when she does finally find out, like it's not a big deal. But that's also because they got rid of basically every other character at that point that would care. But yeah, this is definitely like this is like a mostly filler setup episode, and I'd give it like a B-.
I would give it a C.
It's only a little bit worse.
The only thing that saved the episode was John Glover.
Oh yeah, well that's what he does. So yeah, I don't really have much else to talk about in this episode. Did you?
I'm more excited for the next episode.
Yeah. So our next two are Memoria.
Memoria and Talisman.
Yeah. So Memoria is like we return to the summer hold. We learn like a whole bunch of like crazy backstory about Lex.
And we also get some revelations with Clark.
Yep. And then Talisman is a return to like the goofy Native American stuff, but it also kind of, I don't know, it's not the best. Except that like the only thing that's kind of important in it is the kind of, we don't know like what happens at the end of it with the Lex and Lionel thing, kind of the setup, and then the very, very much like the, oh, this is how we're getting Pete off of the show. That's like basically the very, very end.
Yeah, and with Maria, they have those really creepy and really depressing birthday parties scenes that they do over and over and over, where it's just Lex, like a young bald kid playing Lex, crying, and it's just, oh god.
Yeah, he's like one of the 4 actors that play younger Lex. He does it. He's like young. He's like tween Lex, and then the other kid plays like teenager Lex.
Yeah,
and we never see the original like kid Lex really ever again.
Yeah, and Lucas Grabeel, who plays Lex when he was in boarding school, and Lex when he
teenage Lex,
clone Lex, and later on Superboy. He only appeared in. I mean, while he does appear in a lot of season 10, his only real appearance was that episode where his friend's ghost is sort of like trying to kill him.
Oh yes. That's a good one though. That's like an early Oliver episode too. But yeah, that's in like season 6 or 7. But yeah, we only have 4 more episodes left of season 3. So
we're almost halfway through.
No, we only have 4 episodes left to watch.
Oh no, I'm talking about the series.
Oh yes, we're almost halfway through the series.
Which I didn't think we'd be at this point back when we were doing 1 episode a week.
Yeah, no, there's definitely been much pickup. So we do have to figure out what is going to be our in-between season special and who our guests will be. But yeah, I can't wait for the next pair of episodes. So I guess quickly, don't forget on the stream, you can also check out on Thursdays, we have And Now Comics, where we basically talk about comics and news, and usually you have like some sort of discussion on a particular idea in comics. And then also part of Los Horror, we have Legion of Tunes. And so the last one we watched was my pick, which was Undergrads. And then the next one is, scrolling, the Eltingville Club pilot from 2002. And that comes out every other Thursday, just about. And then, Al, you have a podcast on Los Horror as well, Los Horror Games.
Yeah, hopefully by the time this comes out, the episode will be out, because some scheduling stuff got in the way.
Yep, because there's been big news this week.
Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order.
Yep, there's like 2 Star Wars games. I got Star Wars news this week. And
I've been playing absolutely every Star Wars piece of I've been indulging in every piece of Star Wars content I could possibly get my hands on.
Awesome. Yeah, and I would say go watch Shazam with Smallville star Jonathan Glover appears in it, and is really good in it. So yeah, that just about does it for us. So we'll check you guys next time. I'm Lou Gonzalez.
I'm Alan Muir.
And this podcast stands for truth, justice, and the American way.